How's it doing, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping another video. Right, guys, so this video, as you can tell from the title, is going to be how to check up on the well-being of a loved one that's in prison. Say you've been on the phone to your loved one, seems out of character, seems really down, talking in riddles, worried about his mental health or if he's got mental health issues. He might have spoken about suicide, or he doesn't want to live anymore. Or you might be on a visit and you've had to tell him that a loved one close to him tragically died or passed away, or his kids or something like that, and you know that they're going to take it hard. Obviously everyone would, but if you was genuinely concerned for their safety, their well-being, and like thought that they could seek suicide or self-harm as a way out, right? This is quite a serious video. This don't normally do videos like this, but I'm going to address it. Right, so obviously your loved one in prison can only ring you. You can't ring him. So how could you check on his safety if you can't contact him? Right, so what a lot of people do, they ring the prison, right? And they want to speak to like somebody on the wing, like a prison officer on the wing, right? But I'll be straight with you, and I've got to be honest with you. Prison officers, the people on the switchboard when you ring the prisons, they don't give a shit, right? They'll say they're going to pass the message on. They never pass the message on, guys, right? So then you could try emailing the prison or writing to the prison, right? But all that takes time, right? Time is of the essence, right? Let's say that we believe that your loved one was in imminent danger of self-harming or attempting suicide, or obviously carrying suicide out, as tragically we see in the statistics released by the Ministry of Justice on a yearly basis and stuff. Now, my advice, as someone that's been in prison and stuff, don't go through the switchboard. And if you've got to go through the switchboard, but what I'm saying is you'll get some nosy parking on the end of the phone. Oh, who would you like to speak to? What's the issue? What's the problem? What wing are they on? And they'll act all like they're bothered and everything. But will they pass that message on to your loved one? No. Right? They're based in reception or upstairs, some of these people, right? They don't give a shit, right? So my advice as someone that's been in prison is ring the prison, right? Ask to be put through to the chaplain. Now, the chaplain, right? Prisons are very diverse places, right? You've got rabbis for Jewish inmates. You've got like Hindu prisoners. You've got Muslim prisoners. They've got what they call the imam. You've got Roman Catholic prisoners. You've got Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, Jews, so on and so forth, right? So when you ring the prison, ask to be put through to the chaplain. The nosy fucker on the end of the phone will be like, "Oh, can I just ask what it's regarding?" Just say, "No, I want to speak to the chaplain. It's it's an urgent message. I need to speak to him urgently." Right? You get through to the chaplain, right? The chaplain, who obviously is, if he's Christian or something, is a man of the cloth. So is the imam or the rabbi or the priest or the vicar, the chaplain, right? They're very sympathetic, right? And they'll listen to everything you've got to say. They'll ask you for his prison number, so you give them the prison number, you tell them what wing you're on, right? And just say, "Look, I'm really, really scared. I'm really worried about his mental health, about his state of mind, and I personally feel that he could seek suicide or self-harm as a way out," right? The chaplain then will take your phone number. The chaplain will then come off the phone to you, and as a matter of urgency, because the chaplains are decent like this, right? They will go to your loved one. They'll if he's in a single cell, if he's in a double cell, they'll pull him out and they'll go and chat to him on the landing or something like that. And then what they'll do, they'll check his state of mind. They'll see where he's at and stuff. Let's say, "Look, your mum or your girlfriend or whoever is worried about you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling in yourself?" All that sort of thing, right? And then what we'll do, they'll work out how the prisoner's feeling and stuff. They'll gauge his reactions or her reactions, because obviously we've got female prisoners as well. What they'll then do, the chaplain will he won't just go and just speak to him for 2 minutes. He'll have an in-depth chat for him. Could be 10, 15, 20 minutes, right? And then we've got a thing in prison, guys, called listeners, right? Listeners are prisoners that have done a course and are like a Samaritan sort of course sort of thing, where they learn they're like, if you're feeling down or depressed, right, you'll go and speak to the listener. The listener's a prisoner. He lives in a jail. He lives on the wing. Yeah, each wing's got a listener, right? He's normally on the cleaner side, like I say, and he'll speak to you and stuff like that. But the problem is, guys, we all do this macho thing, don't we, where we don't want to talk about our issues. There's a lot of stigmas attached to mental health, and obviously, as a grown man, you don't want to go and speak to another grown man, right, to talk about your issues, your problems and stuff like that. But the reality is, listeners, that's exactly what they're there for. I mean, if someone's like hell bent on committing suicide and stuff, right, speaking to a listener might not necessarily help, but then again it might, because it's all about talking that person down, giving that person, because that person's focusing on the negatives, right? You can then, as a listener, right, and like I say, you can then give the positives and give like, look, you've got this to look forward to, you've got that to look forward to. And it can actually talk people out of suicidal thoughts and even contemplating suicide. So listeners in prison are very, 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 very valuable. Like I say, but as guys, we don't really go and talk to the listener, do we? Because we're guys and we're blokes and we're macho and we're in prison and we've got this macho bullshit image to live up to, which is a load of nonsense, right? So yeah, but the thing is, so if the chaplain's gone to speak to your loved one, right, the loved one, say your loved one's in prison for the first time, he might not necessarily know about the listener. He will have been told about him on induction, but again, the old macho thing and stuff. The chaplain might actually say, look, I think it'd be good for you to speak to the listener. Then the chaplain could actually shout the listener over, because the listener is more likely to be unlocked, because cleaners, as a former cleaner on my last stretch, we was out from first thing in the morning till last thing at till 8:15 at night. So the chaplain could shout over who's the listener. The listener could come up, take him into his cell. They have a coffee, they chat. Then what could happen? What should happen? The chaplain will come back to the chapel or to their office in the prison. They'll get on the phone. They'll ring you straight away as a matter of urgency, and they will let you know, yes, I've been to speak to him. He seems okay. I've put him in contact with the listener. He'll explain who the listener is, because obviously, unless you've been in prison, you're not going to know who the listener is or what their role is within the prison. So yeah, this is the things that play out, because like I say, guys, right, there's a lot of media headlines and stuff. Our prisons are cushy and like 5-star butlins with bars and all this nonsense that they come out with and everything, when in reality prisons are full of death, misery and despair, suicide attempts, suicides, self-harm, self-fires, violence. Do you know what I mean? It just, again, in the last 12 months we've seen record numbers of assaults, record numbers of self-harm, and this coming year we're going to see the record number high, the record high for suicides in prison. So like I say, if you're worried about your loved one in prison, ring the prison, right? Some screw will answer the phone, yeah? Don't tell the screw you want to speak to the chaplain for this reason. Just say, look, I want to speak to the chaplain. It's a matter of urgency, and they should put you straight through to the chaplain. If you start telling them the reasons why and stuff, they'll say, oh, well, I can't connect you and stuff like that, right? Don't be fobbed off, right? Because like I say, it can be the difference between life and death. You don't know where your loved one's state of mind is. They could be contemplating suicide, and that chaplain going to speak to them and then putting them in contact with a listener could actually save his life. So don't get fobbed off, because like I say, I've seen it where people have rang the prison to try and get information on a loved one to see where. So say you ring the prison, yeah, and you're like, listen, I'm fearing for my loved one, blah blah blah. They'll say, oh yeah, I'll pass it on. They never do, right? So again, speak to the chaplain. The chaplain will take all your details. Make sure to give him your phone number. Make sure to stress how important and urgent you want to hear back from the chaplain. The chaplain will go to the wing. He'll pull your loved one out of the cell, or if he's in a single cell, he'll go in the cell and talk to him and stuff. He'll put him in contact with a listener. That should be routine. The listener will sit down, have a brew with him in his pad, talk to him and stuff like that, and like I say, try and keep a positive spin on it, and he will try and keep the spirits up. Prisoners, as a listener and stuff, you're more likely to speak to another prisoner than you are a prison officer, because for a lot of people in prison, it's on us versus them mentality and stuff. But like I say, prisons are very dark places and stuff, and we all do the macho thing where we say, oh, prison's easy, blah blah blah. But reality is, guys, right, that prisons are very it brings you to your knees and stuff, right? We don't all admit it because we're guys and stuff, but Some people hit rock bottom on a daily basis. Some do it on a weekly. Some do it every month. Some do it every few months, right? But prison will bring you to your knees. It's a very depressing time. Mental anguish, long periods behind your door. If you've got mental health problems, it germinates and makes them worse. And for me personally, as social people, being locked behind your door for a long period of time, my honest opinion, I think it starts mental health problems. And the thing is, when you're in prison, guys, right, is any issues you've got. Say a lot of people end up in prison. They've been sexually abused. They've had rough childhoods. They've grown up in care. They've been homeless. They've battled addiction, whether it be alcohol or drugs. And then you're thrown in prison. So what you do, you overanalyze things, you overthink things in prison. You start to think, where did my life go wrong? You start to play like all the scenes that are played out in your life and stuff like that. You're missing your loved one or your kids or something like that. And it takes you to some very, very dark places and stuff. And like I say, you can't put a price on prison visits, right? Morale boosters in prison are prison visits, getting your canteen. Your canteen, for those that don't know, like toiletries and chocolates and sweets and crisps and pads and pens and stamps and credit and all that sort of stuff that you can buy here. So pictures from your loved ones, visits, right? Getting your canteen, things like that, right? Big morale boosters and stuff. Speaking to your loved one on the phone. For me personally, I'll be absolutely honest with you. When I was on remand at Strangeways 3 years ago, I was in there on remand on a witness intimidation, and I thought, hold on, there's no evidence against me. I'm still in jail. Everyone else had a release date, right, apart from people on remand, because you don't know if you're going to be found innocent, you're going to be found guilty. And I was giving up hope. I thought, I'm never going to get out of prison, do you hear me? So I was writing letters to my mum telling, look, I can't be doing this no more. My head's fucked and stuff. I can handle my prison, but did it bring me to my knees in that instance? Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? I gets on the phone, I spoke to my mum, and I snapped out of the mood I was in, right? I was suicidal on another time, and I got a visit. I went on the visit, cheered me right up, give me that focus. There's that light at the end of the tunnel. But then you've got prisoners, guys, that are in the system. They've got no support network. They've got no family. They've grown up in care. They've not got the friendship. They've not got the family. They've not got that support network to keep the head on the shoulders and give them focus and stuff. If you're in prison and you've got a family and kids and somewhere to go back to when you get out of prison, right? You've got to focus. There's something there for you. Imagine being in a tunnel with no light at the end of it, right? Like I say, people seek suicide, people slash up, which is like with a razor, they'll slash themselves, and like I say, it takes you to some really dark places and stuff. And like I say, mental health, there's a lot of stigmas attached now. Like I say, we need to break down these stigmas. There's nothing wrong with suffering mental health problems, right? Everyone, in my opinion, suffers with some sort of issue, whether it's depression, anxiety, anger, Asperger's, autism, debt, drugs, addiction, anger, paranoid schizophrenia, personality disorders, bipolar, so many different factors at play, guys. Everyone's got something going on in their life, right? But like I say, your loved one's in prison, right? And any problems they've got, right? Imagine if they've got issues on the outside and you're in prison, you're locked behind your door, and say we're in Strangeways, 22, 23-hour lockup, the stress and the where your mind takes you, right? And like I said, and I've said it in a million videos, right? The most dangerous thing in prison isn't other prisoners, isn't weapons, isn't pool balls in socks, isn't spice, right? Worst thing in prison, most dangerous thing in prison, in my opinion, is your own mind, right? It can set you free, but it can also take you to some very, very dark places. And like I say, in prison and stuff, you overthink, you overanalyze. All you can do is think, but thinking takes you to dark places. You start climbing the walls. People want to swap the emotional pain for physical pain. They slash up. It's like a release. I've seen too many people in prison that have slashed up. Seen too many people that are scarred up when they've been in prison. Seen too many people that are planning suicide or that have attempted suicide, including a guy that was on the twos that thrown himself over the landing. Right? It goes on that way, and like I say, for me, prevention is key. And if I can help you guys identify signs that your loved one is contemplating suicide, and the quickest way to find out if he's okay would be to go ring the prison, speak to the chaplain. and it's as simple as that. Give the chaplain, just make sure you stress to the chaplain how stressed out you are, how worried you are, right? And ask the chaplain to contact you back, right? And then you've got a point of contact, yeah? And then you could also ask the chaplain for his email address, his direct line number as well, so you could speak to him directly rather than going through the switchboard. All these things, guys, are aimed at prevention, to try and get to get that chaplain to that cell to find out your loved one's okay, because unfortunately, as we've seen in the headlines and stuff, a lot of people do seek suicide as a way out. And for me, I don't like anybody leaving prison in a body bag. I really, really don't. Suicide is a huge, huge problem in prison, and yet the Ministry of Justice do nothing. The prison officers are not mentally health trained. Understaffing leads to long, sustained periods behind your door. People have got mental health problems, but they're not being medicated because they've not been diagnosed, but it's quite clear they've got issues. Substance abuse, addiction, things like that, guys, right? People take drugs as a coping mechanism, overdose, they die. Or they take the drug with the intention of overdosing and tragically dying. Or they string up, or they slash up, so they want to die, they want to bleed out, right? And I don't like it, guys. And like I say, for me, this video is key to try and address mental health issues and to make sure that no one leaves prison in a body bag. Right, I'm going to leave this video here, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the video. Please take the advice that I've been given, that I've given to you guys, if your loved one's inside and you're worried about them. God bless you all, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.